Hey lovelies, thanks for stopping by my channel today. I am so excited for today's video because we're gonna be hauling a brand that I really love and I can't wait to dive into this with you. If you are not new to my channel, you will know that I have a very strong love for Sydney Grace. I'm sure you all know that the brand has been launching a lot of new things. I definitely had to take advantage of some of the new pretties and I'm gonna share with you the haul today. I'm also going to do two looks with spoiler alert, I got the Unbreakable Bond palette, so we're going to be doing two looks with that. I have some other things to swatch and share with you, and I am just excited to get to play with some of this today. So if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly, and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. We have a lot to swatch. We have two eye looks to do, so we're going to dive into all of this makeup. So I will say, for any of you that are like maybe looking to see something or another, I will have everything hopefully timestamped down below. So what did I decide to get? You probably saw that Sydney Grace has been doing everything from new lip products, face palettes. They just launched new multi-chrome eyeshadows. Of course, they have the Unbreakable Bond palette. They, of course, have their monthly bundles. It was just like a free-for-all. I was like, overwhelming. And for me, sometimes when a brand does like a lot of things all at once, I either go down the rabbit hole and buy all the things because I just can't decide, or I end up not buying anything because I'm like, I can't right now. So I do think that I did pretty well. So you already know that I got the Unbreakable Bond palette. I really think that this is such a beautiful color story. Honestly, is it different than anything that I have in my collection? Probably not, but the thing that I like about this is it's still small enough that I feel like if I really wanted to, I could travel with it. It feels pretty sturdy, and you have a nice array of some, you know, pinky berries, you have some golden peaches, some nice neutrals, and then of course these cool tones. And I was like, this is a really well-balanced palette, and if I know Sydney Grace, I know it's going to be great quality. And by the way, I did decide to get the light version of the palette. I was very tempted to get the deep version just because the deep version, mostly for me, it was that this Mama shade was less pink and more on the yellow side. And that's just something that I would normally go to, having more of a neutral to warm skin tone. But I was like, I'm gonna be fine with this. So since this does have so much potential for a variety of looks, this is really what I wanted to focus on today because there are so many shades. So we're definitely going to be doing two very different looks, just trying to show the potential that this palette does have. Now, I did decide to get my very first, I don't think that I have ever done a Sydney Grace monthly bundle. So if you're not familiar, the brand does a beautifully curated bundle every month of usually, I would say it's normally like 5 products. I think that's usually about what it is, 5 products. And it's a cute color story and you get a really good deal on it. So I did decide to go in on the March bundle. So here are the products that you get. You get 4 shadows, and I'm gonna zoom in on those for you in just a moment. And then it was 1 of the cream shadows, which if you're not familiar, I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with these. They're so lovely. So here are the 4 shadows that you get in this. And the reason that I decided to get this, I'm just kind of turning down that center light so it doesn't blow out too much. And I'm going to swatch these for you because I did see that right now on the website, they are still available and it's a great deal. But the reason I decided to get this little bundle is between the 5 products, I really feel like this is a little mini flavor of what I wanted out of the In Mel's Memory bundle. So, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock and you've never heard of Sydney Grace, you probably know that they just released that beautiful set that Mel Thompson had done to create like her ideal retro palette, basically. And I was very, very tempted to get that set. But the thing is it's a lot of shadows, and looking at it, while it was beautiful, there were just things in there that I knew that I wasn't going to use a lot. Believe it or not, I love a good rose gold, you all know that, but I don't tend to go towards the pinks all that much. And there were a few more like tipping towards pastel shades and I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna get a ton of use out of those. So while I could have cherry picked, I was like, I just don't have the time for this. So I thought that this right here encompasses everything, the vibe of what I wanted from that palette. You've got some beautiful, like, these are almost like mauve and peach mixed together. They've got this beautiful, slightly rosy, but warm undertone. And then you have 2 gorgeous, like, teal / seafoam shades, a beautiful deep one and a fun light one. And then you have this one that is more of like a, it looks to be like a greeny gold. So I'm gonna get to swatching these as we're chatting. So Mel's bundle was $60 at full price. And I do think that, did they do a discount on it? I don't know, maybe they did. But the thing was, is again, I mean, it's a lot of shadows and I just didn't need all of those. I mean, I don't even need these ones, but I just thought that this was sort of like what I would want out of that palette without anything that I didn't really need. So I was very pleased with this. I think this was a great choice for me. All right, so here are the swatches of the April bundle. I think I might have said March bundle in the intro, but it is the April bundle. So you have these 4 beautiful shades. So these are individually available right now. I feel like usually the bundles aren't available for that long though. So I would definitely take a look at these if you're interested. And then this is the shade Indecisive. It's that beautiful, definitely is like almost like a taupey green with a really interesting reflect. Like the reflect on it is almost like a pink and gold, like a warm pink and a gold. And I mean like a really subtle pink, but can you kind of see there? I just feel like it has like that bit of like flecky pink to it. Anyway, it's very pretty. So I really do think that this sort of gives me the vibe of what I wanted out of Mel's bundle without a lot of the pastels, without, you know, the more pinky tones. I think this is great. I do think like looking at the swatches on me and looking at the swatches on the website, the arm on the website, it must be of someone of a slightly cooler skin tone because I feel like on me these look rosier, whereas on this person they look more orangey. So that's just really interesting, but that's just all about like contrast of skin tone. Okay, so since you're zoomed in, I'm just gonna keep you zoomed in. The other thing that I got, they also launched 3 new cream shadows, and the cream shadows normally are $8, but they were doing a bundle of the 3 new ones together for, I believe it was like $17 or something like that. So it was like, yeah, that's a really good deal. That's like basically getting the 3rd one for $1. And I was like, do I need more? No. Do I love them so much and want more? Yes. So I have the 3 new shades. We have Oregon Coast, Never Ending, and Wedding Bells. And they are all available individually. So I'm going to swatch these so you can see them. Oh, these are so, so pretty. Okay. So like I said, these are $8. And if you have never tried these, they are amazing. They are also very, very pigmented, but still very blendable. I can tell you, to get those swatches right there, it was like a pea size on my finger that I spread on. They're intensely pigmented. So, right, the sun is starting to come in so much that I just like changed the aperture so that I could hopefully give you like true swatches of these. It was getting very blown out. So hopefully this is a better look at the the April bundle. So then with our cream shadows here, we have Oregon Coast, and this is really a, what I would say is like a pewter with a bit of purple tone to it. It's really pretty. Then underneath that we have Never Ending, which is like a taupe with just a hint of a green to it. I mean, when I was like taking it off of my swatching finger, I was like, wow, that just has like a slight bit of green to it. And it sort of reminds me of from this palette, but a little bit more green. So this is a very well-known shadow that is a repeat in here. So it's like a deeper tiara with a bit more green, which basically means that it's nothing like tiara, but it just gave me that vibe. Okay, so then this last one, which is so gorgeous, is Wedding Bells. And I think that this is gonna be a really popular one. I mean, look how sheeny and shiny that is. That's gonna be beautiful. And I will say, the brand had done a launch of like 3 or 4 shadows that had little specks of shimmer. I don't want to say glitter, but like little specks of that like sparkle in it. And I didn't prefer the formula of those. They kind of went on a little chunkier, and these ones don't have any of that at all. They are the beautiful smooth formula that I have come to know and love. I will say, like, some of those, it was only just like 1 or maybe 2 of those that I thought were kind of a dud, but it was just not my vibe. So I love all of these so much. That's not gonna be what we're using today, but I did want to swatch them all for you so that you could see. Now the other thing that I decided to get were 2 of the new lip gloss / lip toppers. I am missing one right now because I used it yesterday, which you're gonna see after this look, but I used it yesterday and I think I left it at the salon. But the one that I'm gonna show you right now, and we're gonna use this one today, is the shade Cherish. So this is this beautiful goldy shade. You'll get to see the other shade in the next look. So that's gonna be kind of, we're definitely gonna try this out today. I'm really excited to try that. And let's go ahead and dive into the palette. I have pretty much all of my makeup on. The only thing I didn't put on was blush because I want to use a really like luminous dewy blush. And in case I get any fallout, I didn't want it like sticking into that. That would be really bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off these swatches. Again, if you haven't tried the cream shadows, really sometime when you are doing a Sydney Grace order, get one for me. I promise you won't be disappointed. Okay, let's go ahead and do some powder eyeshadow. You know that these tones are like totally my jam. And yesterday I definitely went out of my comfort zone to do a look. So it feels like a little bit of a reward to be like, okay, we can do something we're a bit more comfortable with. And I realized that I'm not putting up swatches of this palette. Like I'm not swatching it all out for you, just because I feel like at this point my video is going up late because this thing got stuck somewhere. And so I'm sure that there are swatches out there. And also I feel like brands usually have swatch content on their page for you to be able to see. I think that Sydney Grace did that because I think they were showing the differences between the light and the dark palette. So there's definitely great swatches and I felt like they were pretty true. Some brands either like jack up the saturation on their swatches or like put 74 passes over, but I feel like Sydney Grace has been pretty true in what they actually look like. So we're gonna dive in. I'm so excited. Okay, so I think what I'm really inspired to use today is this beautiful shimmer right here, Aunties. I mean, oh, look at that. It's like gold and peach and it's my jam. So I'm just like swatching some of the shimmers here. So this first one is the shade Haley's Haze. That's very pretty. It's more of like a, you know, like a nice neutral beigey leaning towards gold, but not really. And then the one next to it, I definitely think I'm gonna use this one. This is Aunties, and that one is more like peachy gold, and then this one is Sweater Weather. I think I might have to do these two just for something a little bit kind of fun. Okay, ooh, there's this just peachy shade in here though too. Oh, that's really pretty. Here I am like, I'm not doing swatches, and then I'm like doing like little finger swatches for you. No, I think I'm gonna stick with what I had originally done, just because I think that Sweater Weather is gonna be kind of unique. Maybe we'll just throw a little of that in the outer corners. I'm just really excited because I know that when I use Sydney Grace, I don't think I've ever been let down by the formula of like their powder shadows. I feel like the mattes always work great, the shimmers always look beautiful, so I can go in with like the excitement of creating a color story without being worried about what the quality is going to be like. Like you can see that I did my face because I usually feel like there's minimal fallout as long as you don't go in too crazy, and I'm going to work after this and I don't have to be worried that I like that my eyeshadow's patchy or that I had a hard time blending it or that something crazy happened. Even if it doesn't end up being a look that I love, it's not because the quality wasn't good. Now, if you didn't know, this palette is a homage and a collab with the Taylor sisters. So this Sydney Grace is a very like family-based, family-run, family-oriented company. They do a lot of the shade names off of family members, and it's just, I thought that this was a very sweet way for them to like honor their sisterhood. I just thought this was a really sweet way for them to like honor their memories together, their bond, obviously. So I thought it was just really cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with Taylor Girls. So if you have been paying attention to the Sydney Grace launches, you have probably noticed that one thing that is missing from my haul here are any of the multi-chromes. I have an eyelash that it's annoying me, so I need to like sweep that away quick. So I don't have any of the multi-chromes. I chose not to get any of them. You know, when I was looking at the swatches and everything, I was like, well, there are like 1 or 2 shades that I feel like I would enjoy and maybe get some use out of. And it is very on brand and part of the brand aesthetic, but these multi-chromes are all very subtle, softer multi-chromes. They look nice, and I think it's a smart move because I think that a lot of the target market or the current market of Sydney Grace probably hasn't really been into multi-chromes or hasn't really used multi-chromes. And so I think this is a way for people to get into some beautiful, like lightly shifty shades with some more calm color combinations. So they're sort of like multi-chrome lights, in my opinion, done beautifully without swatching them. I mean, I was like, oh, these are pretty, but I just know that if I'm gonna reach for a multi-chrome, I'm gonna want something with some kick in the pants. I either want beautiful, blendy, shimmery shadows like what Sydney Grace's, you know, pressed pigments are, or I want like blow my socks off, give me some sparkle, give me some shift kind of shades. I don't really want like whisper multi-chrome usually, or like a little bit more mellow. I don't want to say whisper because it's not like they look like unpigmented or like, it's just a lot of the shifts are kind of close. They look like they're going to be very luminous, like the multi-chromatic effect is going to look really fun on the eye, but not super shifty. Again, I didn't get any, and I just needed to stop somewhere, y'all. To stop. Okay, the dangerous thing that can happen when you're chatting while you're doing makeup is all of a sudden like your whole eye could be like one shadow because you just keep like blending it out. But look how pretty that is. I mean, I could very easily just like whisk that on. I could pop, you know, a cream shadow or one of these shimmers over the top and it would be gorgeous. Love this shade. It's very, very pretty. Just to see what it looks like, I'm going to take Mama. That's that lightest shade. Awkward. That's that lightest shade right there. I will say, this palette is kind of heavy, and if I am like trying to hold it like this, you know, you have to like do this like awkward. I mean, I guess I could try to, nope, I could try to palm it, but, or like this, and then like my finger, it's pretty heavy. So I don't think that I would normally use this. Maybe if I could like prop it up on a table or something, but I don't think I'll be using it as a mirror to apply, like maybe a mirror to like check my whole situation, but I'm switching to the small guy. At any rate, I'm gonna use Mama to go ahead and go through and just blend this edge. So I was actually just talking to my friend Liz, and I think I do mention this later in the second look, but I was like, yeah, thank you for mentioning to me that the Sydney Grace tones usually apply a bit deeper, at least a lot of them apply a bit deeper on the skin than what they look like in the pan, because I was, again, like I said, tempted to get the deeper palette because I was like, oh, I really like that more like warm matte. And I was like, actually, I probably don't need the deeper because it's going to get even deeper once it's applied. So I was like, we're going to be fine with this. And I do think that that looks nice. It actually is pretty good for my skin tone. I think if you're a lot warmer than me or if you're much deeper than me, it might not be something that you use, but I think it is going to be a good, what I call eraser shade, right? Like you just pop a little on if you got a little heavy in one spot or you need to blend an area out. It works really well to just kind of like make it a whisper. So now we're going to take that Auntie shade on my good old standby ancient Wayne Goss brush. What was this? Oh, the number 18. Oh my gosh, it's all like starting to wear off. I'm going to be very interested to see, you know, now that Wayne has his own website going up in the UK and he's talked about bringing out some more brushes, I'm going to be really interested to see what he does. So I've just got a little bit of that built up on my brush. I'm going to spray it with Fix Plus. I very rarely use, in fact, I never use a glitter glue or anything like that with the Sydney Grace pressed pigments. That's not necessary at all. I guess if maybe you have extremely hooded eyes, but give me a couple years, but I'm doing okay right now. So I'm just gonna load this on the front half. Okay, maybe like 2/3. I'm gonna load it on the front 2/3 and then we're gonna go in with that Sweater Weather shade. Oh, that is really pretty. And honestly, this almost has like a slight, you know, it's not like a flip. It's not like duochromatic by any means, but it has that little like, ooh, is it peach? Is it gold? Like, what is it? I really like it. It reminds me a little bit of, is it Sunset Glow? One of the cream shadows, but not quite as intense. Anyway, now we're gonna go into Sweater Weather. I'm just gonna use the same brush and I'm gonna flip it over, and I don't think I'm actually gonna even wet this one. I want it to be just a little softer. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, so I think all I need to do now is take this sun poisoning shade, which is so interesting. Like, I'm kind of curious, like, did one of the girls get really bad sun poisoning? Because you have to know, like, all of these shades are gonna have some sort of, you know, personal connection for them. And it's such a random, especially for Sydney Grace, it's such a random, like, shade name that I'm like, one of the girls must have gotten really bad sun poisoning. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to ask. I'm gonna have to ask about that. because it's like, huh, where did that come from? Okay, wow. Wow, 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 wow. I'm starting to feel a little like sunsetty, which I'm not mad at all. Okay, just going through with that original Taylor Girls on the same brush, and I'm just gonna build this up and kind of like bring that peachiness back right through here. Because you can see like where that, what do we want to even call this shade? I don't know, that sun poisoning shade, it sort of took over. So I'm just gonna build that back up on the corner. A lot of times when I do like a transition color, it almost is just like sort of mapping out the shape that I want, and probably 9 times out of 10 I end up going through and like extending my corners out even more, but at least it gives me a little bit of the shape without really going in hard with a deeper shade and like not being able to come back from it. So I'm taking that brush that had Mama on it, but I'm not putting any product on, and I'm just kind of like, again, blending out that edge just a little bit. All right, that's gorgeous. I have no fallout, although I do have regrets because I went through with a concealer that I bought a little while ago and I've been trying it out and it is not looking great. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to revive that whole situation. Okay, I think I want a pretty soft lower lash line. So I'm gonna go through actually with this shade Cleveland and then maybe a bit of Taylor Girls. I can't remember if I used Cleveland in yesterday's look, and I want to use, you know, quite a few of the shades in here. Ooh, that's pretty. So I use Cleveland on the outer third, and then I'm gonna go through with Taylor Girls and do the rest. And y'all, I might need to like go ham with this underneath shade just to try to like cover up the crazy patchiness and like wrinkly crinkliness from my concealer that I had on. Ugh, that's disappointing. You know, darker mattes are going to hide wrinkles more than like light situations. So if I can cover some of this up with like a little bit deeper color and it's not the color of my concealer, maybe it'll like hide it a little bit more. Okay, so now all I have to do is inner corner, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a little bit of that Wedding Bell shade. I'm just gonna pop this on. This looks just so pretty. So we're gonna take the tiniest amount. So I'm gonna start like literally with just a dab. And I'm gonna take another 207 brush from BK and just pop this on. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but one little boop did a lot. And what I like about the Sydney Grace, other than the fact that for me, they really do stay all day long and on me are like crease proof, totally, is that they still have some blendability and some wiggle room. And so usually it's not quite as like daunting as some of the other cream shadows out there. Like you all probably know that I love the Danessa Myricks Color Fix, and I prefer the mattes definitely because they blend out really beautifully. I think for me, they have a pretty decent blend time, like before they dry down. But the Color Fix foils, while being very gorgeous and like virtually bulletproof, you do have to work pretty fast with those because they dry down really quickly. And if you don't get it blended out or you try to move it once it's dried down, you start to get that slight patchiness, which kind of makes sense. You know, you're trying to move around something that's already like drying. So these just, they just are a little bit more user-friendly. But I also don't think they're like quite as insanely like long wearing, but these get me through all day long. So very, very pretty. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, let's go ahead and put on some mascara so we can see the final look. All right, here is our final eye look. If you can tell, I did add a little bit of extra makeup, obviously the mascara like I said I was going to, and then I did do the blush. I have been wanting to use this Venetian Rose from M Cosmetics for a while, but the thing about this is it actually dries down pretty well, but I don't think that it's super long wearing, and I don't like to powder it a lot. So that means for me, I need to do it when my hair isn't gonna be in my face. So I have to only wear this on days where I don't feel like my hair is gonna be like rubbing it off. So I put my hair up today and I was like, yes, I get to wear this product. It's in my Shop My Stash for spring. If you do wanna see that, I will make sure to have that video linked down below because I'm trying to use some of the things, y'all. But I thought it was the perfect color to go with this look. I didn't put a lot on. I definitely could do a little more. Should we do that? Let's just go ahead. By the way, I have this, I bought this shamefully a while ago, and I have the stupid packaging. I have heard that the new packaging works better, but I don't have that one. So I literally just use that wiggly wand dropper thing to like, as a spatula on my face. That is more of like a Kelly level of blushing. I also went through with a bit of lip liner. Where did I put it? I have the Lisa Eldridge Enhance and Define in Affair on because we're gonna pop this lip topper over the top. Now, I did notice, I haven't opened this tube yet, but maybe you'll be able to see. If you get it, can you see how there's a lot of the sparkly, like shimmery pigment here? And so it's settled a lot. Like, I don't know if you're even gonna be able to see that. You're just gonna have to trust me on this one. So I think this is gonna be one, if you don't use it a lot, you're probably gonna wanna shake it and, you know, maybe like even get some air pumped in there just to kind of like, oh yeah, it's gonna be totally different now. Wow, okay. And I noticed, oh. Okay, so update, as I was just pumping like a maniac, the, you know, the part of the component that like squeezes off the excess product came up into the cap and it was gooky. It was like getting everywhere. So be careful. I just had to like screw it back on and like crank it back down. That was probably on me. So I'm actually gonna put this on this hand because the other hand is a little shiny from the cream shadow. Ooh, this one's a little bit more pigmented than the other one that I got. I mean, again, these are absolutely lip toppers or for a very, very sheer gloss, which I thought would just be super pretty. This is the shade Cherish. I think this is actually the first one that they made in this formula. This is definitely not like their lip cream, which is more, first of all, it's not like sparkly or sheeny. This doesn't have like glitters in it, but it's much more saturated in color. So those are definitely like, I would say like a medium coverage lip color. So, oh yeah, I like this. There's nothing more ridiculous than trying to talk as you're applying like gloss. You're like, hey, so you'll get to see the other shade that I got in the next look, but I do think that it was a little bit less pigmented than this. But I just think that maybe this one has more of those like little reflective bits. The texture on this is really nice. I would say it is low level of stick, but not like a lip oil. You know, everybody and their brother is making lip oils these days. This is definitely a gloss, but it's not a super tacky gloss. It reminds me a little bit of the Fenty Gloss Bomb, but not quite as slippy. Not like those have this just very lovely slide to them. This has a little bit more tack than that, but it's about that level of like thickness. Yeah, I really like this so far, and they're $10 at full price. I did, by the way, use Mel's code because Sydney Grace still offers using that, and then Mel's family gets some of the proceeds from the commission on that affiliate link or affiliate code, you know what I'm saying? So I did go through and do that, which I think gives you 15% off. So that was actually still a pretty good deal. I really like this look. You'll have to let me know what you think. So now let's get into the second look from yesterday. All right, good morning. Here we go with look number 2. First of all, I'm gonna apologize for the little blob of light behind me. I don't think it's really gonna matter because I'm gonna zoom you in a little bit, but I'm just too lazy to get up and try to deal with the blinds. So we're just gonna leave the sunlight. Also, it's just nice that it's actually sunny. So I think for today, I'm going to do something more in this cool zone. Yes, indeed. I have never used the shade Tiara. I know most people probably have it if you're a big Sydney Grace fan, but I've actually never used it before. So I think that that's gonna be something that we use. We'll use some of the blue. I'm not really sure what else I'm gonna do. Wow, I sound like Dr. Seuss. But that's the plan. I am kind of like in a cool tone vibe today. I put on this fun little necklace and I just have on a black t-shirt and jeans, so I kind of want to like glam it up just a little bit. So this will probably be like a little bit more dramatic. I don't know, we'll see what we end up doing, but let's go ahead and get started with it. All right, I'm actually just gonna go in right away with the blue with that shade Indiana Love, because I think that taking that, putting it on, seeing how it's blending will let me know what else I need to use. Like if I need a transition shade to sort of like blur it out, I have a feeling I'm gonna want to use one of the neutrals maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Like I said, I'm just gonna sit here and play with some eyeshadow. I hope you're along for the ride. Going in with the Sonia G Crease Pro, I think this is gonna be a good option to, you know, be able to blur this out, but it's still also small enough that I can get a good amount of control. And by the way, I don't have any eye primer on. Honestly, I tapped the tiniest amount of concealer on. I'm probably gonna, I can't say I'm gonna regret this as far as like the eye primer, but I was like, oh no, I'm doing a cooler toned look. I probably could have used something just to like, I don't know, really like start with a fresh canvas, but honestly this morning I used a foundation that is too light for me, and I tried mixing in a darker foundation once I realized it, and then I just felt like I was just wearing too much foundation at that point. I'm like, okay, so now I just want to go through with like a tiny amount of concealer, and it was just starting to feel like a lot of makeup on my face. So there you have it. But wow, look how, I mean, obviously I'm using Sonia G, that probably helps, but look how nicely that blue has blended out. It's definitely more of like a hazy, desaturated blue. It's like a dusky navy. I mean, not that I expected Sydney Grace to necessarily be doing like a bright, bright blue, but this definitely has a bit of haze to it. Well, that went a little further than I wanted it to. I always end up extending this side out more, and then I had to go back. It's fine, it's fine. So I think I'm gonna go through with Dusty Trails. That's this, I mean, really, it's sort of like, to me, it has a bit of a pinky rosy undertone to it, but it's in that like taupey brown family. It's a very Sydney Grace color. And I just want to like blend these together. Wow, that's actually like, I feel like it's darker than I thought it was going to be, which I definitely find. I actually was considering getting the dark version of this palette because I preferred the yellow pale shade as opposed to that Mama shade, as opposed to this pinky one. But they do, like, they tend to get a little bit darker on the skin than they look in the pan, and I was like, well, I don't want to get too much darker. I'm going to run out of like blending transition shades. So now that we have this, what I'm going to need to do is go back through and just deepen the blue up in my crease further. And we're just, like I said, I wanted to end up with dramatic look, so that's going to be what we have. Okay, that'll do for me. That will do. Definitely dramatic. But we can surely kind of brighten it up with that Tiara shade. I think I'm just gonna put that all over my lid. Like, I kind of want that like brighter, like this is like a taupey silver shade. So definitely not something that I usually lean towards in my collection, but I'm excited to use it. I considered maybe using a little bit of that blue, the Shaylee Shimmer, but if I do that, it's just gonna be on the very, very outside. We'll have to see. Okay, this is a very pretty color. It's, again, it's not something that I would necessarily usually use. Let's see if my nails, I just don't want them to be like so long that I'm getting this shade everywhere. But this color, I do feel like, and maybe my lid texture is just extra today, but I feel like this has really enhanced the texture on my eyelids, and I don't love that so much. If you have this shade like as a single, you'll have to let me know if you feel like it does that. But it's just, it just looks like aluminum foil kind of crinkled up a little bit. I don't know that I love that much, but we're gonna roll with it. So I decided to kind of take Tiara, not kind of, I absolutely did take Tiara above my crease and just blend it into this blue here, just to soften it out a little bit. Like to soften the darkness of that blue, but it makes still for a pretty base color. And then I feel like it's not like having this intense, you know, with having hooded eyes, it's not like having this intense light shade on my lid and then like having my fold hang over it a little bit and be like deep and dark. It was just like too much contrast. Okay, I just had to clear off some fallout from the Tiara shade, and I just popped on a little bit more concealer. Just using a little bit of the Airbrush Flawless Finish just to kind of set that down a little bit. Okay, so, I mean, this isn't my favorite look, but I didn't really expect it to be. I thought maybe I'd be able to like get into a zone of like Kelly in her, I don't know, probably high school days, like wearing the silver eyeshadow. Honestly, I probably should have put this on the lid instead of Tiara, or maybe just had Tiara right here. I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now. It started out with too much foundation and now I'm wearing silver eyeshadow. What's going on? I think what I'll do is just maybe go through with some of these neutral shades on the lower lash line and just smoke it out and then give it just a little bit more of that like grounding neutral base. We'll see. So I'm just going through with the BK Beauty 204 with Backroads, which is the shade that's just slightly darker than that Dusty Trails in the palette. That's the one that I used in my transition area. This brush is so nice for like just quickly popping on color onto your lower lash line. Okay, and then I wipe that off, and I'm going to take a little bit of that Dusty Trails and just run along the very outer edge of that shade just to enlarge that like lower smoke line, and then also kind of like blur it out just a little bit. Just, I don't want it to look like I just took like brown eyeliner and like... Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better, just having something like a little bit more neutral underneath. Now I feel like it's actually pretty balanced. The only thing is there's not really like a shade in here that I want to use as a highlight. Let me see if I pulled out any highlighters into my Shop My Stash for the season that would maybe go. All right, I've got Smoke and Whistles from ColourPop here. We'll just pop a little of this. Yeah, I think that works. It's like definitely cool toned, but a little on the pearlescent side as far as like that tone, that slight like pinky, almost like a little bit lavendery. So I think it just kind of like brings everything together a little bit. Brightens it up. Now time for mascara. Look, I do like the look. I don't know that this is ever going to be me cool toned Kelly as far as like silvery blues, but I like it. So now we're going to go through with one of the lip topper slash lip glosses that I got. I got the shade Danny. Now I do feel like in, you know, transport or maybe, you know, just like sitting in stock that this kind of like settled a little bit because it looked like all of the like bits of shimmer were down on one side. So I bet that that means that there's probably some down in the bottom too. But let's go ahead and give this a little swatch. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My hands are incredibly dry, so sorry for that. This is gonna be pretty. It's just gonna be a little bit of something. I think I'm going to go ahead and go through with a lip liner first. What do I have here? I think this is Pillow Talk. Yeah, this is Pillow Talk. So let's go through with this and then I'll go ahead and put on the gloss. I'm just gonna literally like enhance my outer lip line. So I just took that liner and kind of like blended it into the center. Now we can go ahead and go over with this gloss. Unscented? Huh. I tell you what, if there's a scent, it's pretty light. I'm definitely glad that with today's look, I went ahead and used a liner because I feel like I don't want something like overly strong on the lip, but I need it to be well defined just because the eyes are so dramatic. So I definitely feel like I saved that look. Again, it's just for me. It's normally just not a personal preference of mine, but it's a good significant little chunk of this palette if you decide to get it. So I wanted to showcase the cool tones, whether you are a cool toned lover and you wanted to see the quality of them, or you were someone that doesn't use a lot of cool tones and you're sort of like wondering what it'd be like if you did use them. Honestly, now that I've had this look on for a few minutes, I'm actually really fine with it. Again, I don't know that I will whisk a taupey silver all over my eyelid anytime soon, but that's okay. Maybe even if I use this color with some of the neutrals and not with the blue, I would feel less icy. I don't know. What you guys will have to let me know what you think. And now I feel like I need a little bit more blush. I'm using the Wayne Goss Coral Rose palette, so I thought that this would be a good combination with what I thought I was gonna do on the eyes, which is pretty close to what I was thinking. Like, I'm not quite as dark around the edges. That color really did deepen up, but I do feel like I just want a little more blush to balance everything out. And I just want a little more blush because I love blush. Let's be real. Now that I have a little more blush on, I feel like I look a little bit more balanced. And now that I've had this silvery eyeshadow look on for a little bit, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with it. I think it's gonna be a good vibe for the day. Maybe not like spring vibes, but it'll be good to shake up my makeup experience. You gotta do that every now and again. I hope that you've enjoyed both of these looks. All right, so since this is technically the first time I've touched the palette, it's time to go ahead and go back to first Kelly, which is actually second Kelly. You know, time is wibbly wobbly, as they say. But we'll go ahead and get into my final thoughts since I will then have had time to play with it a couple more times. All right, lovelies, it has been a lot of fun getting to play with my new Sydney Grace items with you. I hope you enjoyed this haul slash 2-look vid with the Unbreakable Bonds palette. I will definitely be using this guy, this April bundle. I'll be using this to create a look. I'll probably have that on Instagram, so if you do want to head over to Instagram to see that, it is Keep Beauty Real. I always try to have all my socials linked down below. Speaking of linking down below, if for some reason you have never bought anything from Sydney Grace, I will go ahead and have the website linked down below for you so you can check everything out. As always, I have been very happy with everything that I've used. Now, just a few thoughts on this palette so far. I've used it twice now, but I can say that every shadow in here is exactly what I expect from Sydney Grace quality-wise. Very beautiful. I do believe that these shadows deepen up quite a bit, as you saw. Like, I definitely felt like this one, this Dusty Trail shade, definitely felt like that got quite a bit darker than what I was thinking. So I feel like if you are my complexion or even a little bit darker than me to like the lightest of light, this might actually be a little deeper than what you will utilize, because I mean, this shade, these two here are the lightest. This one is quite light. I haven't used this pink yet, but I have a feeling both of these are going to be a little bit deeper on the skin. So that would be one thing. Also, the fact that really for me, the only inner corner shade that is going to be in here is Spring Fling, which is definitely on that like pearly pinky rosy side. So I will have to grab something else. Luckily, I created my own companion palette of singles, some of which I believe are Sydney Grace in there. So I'll probably just pull that out if I need to. If you want to see that BYOP, by the way, that'll be down below as well. So that's just something for me. Like, I always like a light, bright inner corner, and a lot of palettes don't have it. For $56, do I think that this is worth it? Yes, because you do get a beautiful amount of shades. I mean, you get 16 shades in here. This is a really nice, sturdy palette. As far as like the vibe on it, okay, so I like the idea of what is here. You know, I mean, I love a good like kind of like millennial pink into rose gold moment, but it's just a little simple, which is definitely like the classy simple is Sydney Grace's vibe. But when I honestly, and I'm so sorry, this is getting a little catty, but when I look at this, this honestly looks like something that I could get off of Canva to use as a YouTube thumbnail background. Which as a background, it's fine. But when you pull it up like this and you see it, it just looks kind of clip arty. So I do wish that it had just been like zhuzhed up just a little bit, especially for like a $56 palette. But it's great quality. What's on the outside is cute. What's on the inside is awesome, amazing, good quality. That's where the money went, and that's totally great. Now, I will also say, I noticed yesterday about halfway through the day, and maybe it was that I will have to honestly go back and like look at the footage, but I felt like the blue look that I did yesterday, and I know that I did a lot of like blending and like ended up like, you know, kind of like taking tiara out a little further, but I felt like the navy of this navy blue in here went away. I mean, this looked blue. It looks like a dusty, hazy blue. It was not anymore. It looked like a deep smoky eye that was done with like grays. So I don't know if that was just from me blending so much or if the color of that faded throughout the day. So that was the only thing. That's like the first time I felt like a shadow has shifted. So it very well could have just been that I put so much tiara out and it blended in that other neutral and just kind of like took it away. But I remember like packing in that navy more. I don't know. That was just one thing that I noticed. I will also say that I felt like a rock goddess with that look on. Like, it's not my go-to, but I did like it. I know that I was like kind of fussing over it and I did have fun with it. So I just wanted to make that note because I did feel like, you know, it kind of like the color of that. It didn't fade. It was like still there. It wasn't patchy or anything. It's just like the blue sort of went away. These toppers, I definitely think that they are very nice. I reapplied that Danny shade like quite a few times because like any gloss or like slick lip product, you're going to have to reapply it after drinking, after eating, after a bunch of talking. Like, it's not going to be a long wear lip product, but that's what happens when you don't have something that's super sticky and something that's shiny. All right, I think that is it. Again, if you've never tried a cream shadow, what the heck? Grab one the next time you're on the Sydney Grace site. I do think that I have a video swatching most of them. I've gotten so many more since that video. I definitely need to do updated collection swatch videos of both my cream shadows and my powder set shadows from Sydney Grace, especially since my Sydney Grace powder shadow swatch video, I didn't know how to focus my camera on. I still sometimes have issues with that. What are we talking about? Okay, that's gonna be it. We're gonna end on that note, lovelies. If you did enjoy this, if you found it entertaining or helpful, please don't forget to give it a like. It really does help me out here on my channel. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you're having a wonderful spring, and I will see you really soon.